Hello and welcome to the first Booksplosion live show of 2019 on our new channel. Today we are going to be talking about Eragon. We're going to be taking your questions over on Twitter using the hashtag Dragonsplosion. I'm Jesse from the channel Jesse the Reader.
I'm Christine from Pulling Bananas Books.
And I'm Kat from Katytastic.
Yay! We're excited for another year of reading with you guys. We're going to start off this live show by sharing our non-spoilery thoughts. So who wants to kick it off?
Did we say our little spiel about Eragon?
We didn't say our little spiel.
Okay, well, this month we're working with Random House, and we're doing Eragon in celebration of Christopher Paolini's new set of short stories called The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm, out now. So today we're going to be talking about Eragon. We're going to do, again, like Jesse said, a short non-spoiler section of our thoughts, and then we're going to go into discussion and take questions from y'all. Jesse, kick us off with your thoughts.
I was supposed to be hosting this.
Sorry.
Okay. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it was like a fun adventure. I could totally see why this was like such a well-loved book growing up. I didn't read it growing up like the rest of the kids in my class. But I could totally see like what the hype is behind it and stuff. I feel like it's a really good introduction to fantasy. I didn't love the pacing, and I didn't love the world building necessarily, but I still it was really entertaining. It was fun. I loved the bond between Eragon and I keep calling her Saphira. I keep saying Saphira.
I'm thinking Seraphina too, because of Seraphina.
Yeah.
Dragon book, yeah.
Another dragon book.
Saphira.
This one came first, right? Did it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. This is 2003.
Mm-hmm. But overall, it was really entertaining. I had a good time reading it. Yeah.
Kitten?
Yeah, I guess we'll go to me. I was really interested in reading this because I have heard about it for so long, and I know it's like a beloved, nostalgic childhood kind of book. But when it came out, I was already in high school, so this was I don't even know if this is middle grade or YA, because it's really on that border, pacing-wise and feel-wise, it's very middle grade. But Eragon is
Potter, anyone can.
Yeah, but Eragon is 16, and he's treated like a young adult in a lot of situations.
Isn't he 14?
He's 16.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was 14.
No, Christopher Paolini was 14 when he started writing this book.
I think Eragon starts off as
14, he feels younger when he starts off. But I don't know.
Let us know.
He was 15 and it was almost his 16th birthday.
When did they say that?
At the beginning, I think. I might be wrong. But yeah, anyways, I was really interested in this, and I really enjoyed it. I liked it more than I thought I was going to, considering Christopher Paolini was very young when he wrote this. But yeah, I actually really liked the world building, the dragon mythology and stuff was one of my favorite aspects. And the relationship between Eragon and Saphira, I loved Saphira, and a lot of our other characters. It's not the most original fantasy story, but like Jesse said, it is a really good intro to fantasy, and especially if you're a younger reader, then it's perfect, because you haven't I've read so much other fantasy that I'm a lot of stuff is predictable and it's not super shocking, but I can see I would have loved this as a young teenager. This would have been my favorite book probably, because I love dragons so much, and it is really just a fun adventure, entertaining story.
Yeah, I feel it felt very his twist on Lord of the Rings. That's what it felt like to me, and it felt very much more accessible, at least to me, than Lord of the Rings. I remember I tried to read Lord of the Rings when I was 10, and I was just this is so dense. I couldn't even get through a chapter. This
would have been accessible. Yeah, it
would have been so much more accessible, and it's very much reminded me of the Lord of the Rings in just the way the creatures work, and just the types of creatures they had, and the way the world felt. I thought that the relationship between Eragon and Saphira was so compelling, and like you said, all that mythology was so interesting. That was my favorite part of the book. The beginning didn't have me until the egg hatched, and then I was all on board. I felt this is why I thought he was younger. He was so dumb in the beginning. He was like, the thing was shaking and making noise, and he was like, wow, I hope it stops. Like, what does this mean this rock is shaking? I was like, it's obviously an egg, you dumb.
Dragons have been gone for so long.
It doesn't matter. It could be an egg for anything. Like, it's an egg.
I found on page 6, it says Eragon was 15, less than a year from manhood. And he does obviously this book takes place over several months because
there's
the part grows over it. So yeah, he must be 15, 16 by the end of it.
There's another part where it's when his uncle dies and he's like, what's happening? Am I blind? And I was like, you're crying, you idiot. Why would you say this out loud? But yeah, he felt very dumb in the beginning and naive in so many ways that he would just like go off and do magic or do something without thinking. And Brom would always scold him so much. And he felt like he was 13 to me. Like he had all these powers and he was super excited about it. But he really matures as we go along. But Brom has to
also
die.
Like the author's like age of like him, like the author's age coming through his writing, you know what I mean? Like, because at the time when he wrote this, he was 15.
But honestly, like for a 15-year-old, this is crazy. I
would never have been able to write this.
Yeah, the world that he's built is so intricate, and
also his writing is a lot better than I expected because he's really good at like descriptions and describing these action scenes. There's a lot of like action and magic. And I was a little bit lost with some of the proper nouns sometimes because there's so much like new words and new language and stuff. But I was never confused about like what action was going on or like what things looked like. It was really easy to read and fall into.
Did you guys listen to the audiobook or read the regular book?
I listened to some of the audiobook, but I had to stop because I really didn't like Saphira's voice.
I was just gonna say, how did you feel about Saphira's voice?
What was her voice like?
It's
really like growly and
it's growly. It's like hello, except really loud. But you know, when they said it was a girl and then she spoke and she had that voice, I was like, whoa, what is this old man voice coming out of the dragon? But I guess it is a dragon, so it
makes sense.
It's not going to have human tones to it. It's not going to be like, come with me, get on my back. Like,
but I like also like her voice in his head, so it's not like her actual like growly vocal cords.
I really liked how Saphira also would always be like, you fool, you're so dumb, you're going to kill yourself. Because he was so dumb. She was my voice every time he did something stupid.
I love that you bonded with Saphira.
I did. I got used to her gravel voice and it was fine. By the end, in the beginning, I was like, girl, you've been smoking 2 cigarettes.
A lot of people in the chat are saying that they also hated Saphira's voice as well. So
I have to watch the movie now.
Yeah, I want to watch the movie. We've all heard very not good, but I feel like it could still be enjoyable, like a fun.
Yeah,
well, it'll probably just be like not an accurate adaptation though.
Yeah, I feel like if you go into it knowing that it's gonna be bad, it'll be fine. It's just like the Golden Compass. I went into that knowing like everyone hates the movie. Yeah. And I was like, it's not that bad.
I know. I really enjoyed the Golden Compass. All right.
Everyone's like, the movie is awful.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
If you don't know, we're taking questions using the hashtag Dragonsplosion on Twitter right now. And if you want to put a hashtag next to whatever you say in the chat, if it's a question, then we'll try to catch that as well. I'm trying to this time.
Trying to keep my eye on both here.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Shaylin, and they ask, "What are your thoughts and opinions on Murtagh?" Is that what you said? Murtagh? Okay.
I really liked Murtagh. I've been watching. I loved his voice in the audiobook too. It reminded me of Ian from Outlander, who I love. I don't know if anyone's watching Outlander, but he has this like really thick Scottish accent, Murtagh, in the book. What about you guys?
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him a lot more once we learned more about his story and like who he is. Then I was like, oh, this just got a lot more interesting.
Right.
Because it shows that he is going to be more of a bigger player. Like when he first kind of joined up with Eragon, it seemed a little like coincidental, kind of like how are you guys now together and traveling? But then it made sense because like he is a major player probably in the rest of the series. I don't know.
Yeah. I was like unsure of him at first because I was just like, where did he come from? Like he just kind of came out of nowhere. But then like once we started to learn more about like his backstory and stuff, he just became super like fascinating to me, and I'm excited to like learn more about him in the future.
Yeah, I started to take him seriously when they sparred, and he was just as good as Eragon, and I was like, "What? Who are you?"
Who are you?
Also, okay, can we talk about Brom for a second? Because we skipped over his Dumbledore. I was waiting for Brom to die the entire time.
Really?
Yeah. Because they started traveling together. I was like, oh, he's gonna die.
And again, the book does use a lot of familiar tropes. And the mentor character dying is a very common trope. You know, like the mentor will like impart their knowledge and then die, and that kind of furthers the protagonist story.
Yeah, I loved Brom. I thought he was great.
I did too. I really liked him.
He really like reminded me of my grandpa, and so many ways the way he talked to him. But like the way he taught him stuff, like the teaching. But I was just gonna say something else. Someone in the chat just asked what we thought of. I think her name was Amber or Abby or
Angela, the fortune teller.
Angela. Was that her? I loved her. She was so
quirky
cool.
and interesting.
Yeah.
And her wear.
Yes, Solemn Bum.
Solemn Bum. Okay, there was like a romance happening with Solemn Bum and Saphira toward the end of the book, and it was so like donkey and the dragon in Shrek.
Oh my gosh, from Shrek.
Yeah, like I didn't even have kitty dragon babies.
Oh my word.
Because I ship it. Because Saphira was like, I'm gonna go hang out with someone, wink, when she went to go hang out with Solemn Bum.
Yeah.
Wink. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Talk about Angela. She was cool. I liked her classic prophesizing scene about his life.
I like that she came back at the end too, and like, warning about the twins and like helping Eragon like know a little bit more about like the political situation he's found himself in the middle of.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't she say that she had talked to a lady with the same name as Eragon's mom or something like that? Was that something that happened? Selena or something?
Yeah. She knew.
Because I was like, I want to know more about that. Like, is there...
Yeah. Well, do you think...
I just want to know more about his parents, actually. That's something that drove me crazy. Like, I need to know like what's going on there.
Yeah, I think his mom was special. And
I think they both were. I feel like his dad is going to end up being like
a writer.
Were the writers...
You think it's going to be Darth Vader?
Wait, were the writers only... Were the writers...
Jesse?
Sorry, was that Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse. Thanks. What were you going to say?
Were the writers only men, or were there also female writers?
That's exactly what I was wondering. Like, I want there to be a female writer.
I would love it to be his mom.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I would really like that. Yeah, we haven't heard about any female writers though. Yeah. From the sounds of it, it was all men, but it wasn't like 100% confirmed that it was all men.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed it was because there aren't very many women in this book. Like Saphira is like
Saphira's like the only one. I was actually like so excited when we found out that Saphira was a female though. I was like,
I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
I was really excited about Arya because she's a
but then she was unconscious for so long.
Yeah, I know. We rescued her and I was like, yeah, no, we're never with us. And then she was just like asleep the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how she progresses in future books.
Yeah.
Like, we're going with her now. So
yeah, I think in the future she's going to be a big character. And I really like that she's more powerful than Eragon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I liked that they predicted he's going to have an epic romance because they shipped it.
Yeah. I really liked that she beat him because for a long time Eragon was seeming a little bit like he picked everything up very quickly and he was like super powerful and super talented very quickly. Yeah. So I was really glad that like he did get beaten by someone who has like a lot of power and years of training on him. Like that made sense. And I feel like it easily could have gone the other way where like Eragon was just amazing at everything. So I liked that he still has room to grow.
Yeah. Like there's that part at the end where she's like, let's spar. And he's like, oh, I'll soften my blows for her. And then a second later he's like, what's going on? She's so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brom said that thing about elves.
I had a question about Aragon's dreams.
About her?
Well, not about her, just in general. Like, was it like talked about like why he was having those dreams? Like, was it because
Percy Jackson?
I was just like confused because like I didn't remember them like touching on like why he was having these dreams. Like, was it because he like has magic now? Like,
I feel like it's typical if you have magic, you have like these dreams that
prophetic
are really
dreams.
dope. Yeah. I don't know,
Okay.
Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We don't have a lot of like solid boundaries for like magic and like what's possible right now. I feel like everything that was happening, I was just like accepting it. Like, okay, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that we do get more like solid rules and like limitations that are like really drawn out for us. I do like some of them about how like magic is so much harder when you're like at a distance. Like lifting something close up is easy, but lifting something a mile away is like so much harder. Like I really like those limitations.
Yeah, you know, I kind of felt the opposite. I felt like we got a bunch of like information about the magic because compared to Lord of the Rings, where I'm like, what the fork is ever the rules for anything? This we had so many rules. Like he had to say the words out loud. He has to like whatever the task is, like it will take that equal amount of energy from you. I like that once you say the word, you can't cancel it. So it drains you no matter what. And if you did too much, like you're effed and there's nothing you can really do about it. And
yeah, that's true. There were a lot of
social distance thing, like you said. Yeah, I thought he had quite a bit for like this beginning of learning his magic. We don't know what the limitations are with him and Saphira together. I feel like that's a thing that we haven't really explored. Like, Saphira can just like randomly do shit, like turn that whole tomb into diamonds or whatever she did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have weird magic that isn't fully understand. I think that's part of it too. Is like dragons have been so rare that like even people who are living like don't really understand their limitations because no one was alive except for the emperor, the king. Like the only who's like hundreds of years old and the only one who like really knows a lot of this information.
Yeah. Right. How cool was it though that Brom was so old? Like he was telling these ancient stories and then he's like, "Yeah, I was there for that," and I was like, what?
I kind of suspected from the beginning that he was a writer. Like when we were getting his death scene and he would like confess that he was a writer and his dragon was named Saphira. Like I was like, I kind of knew that. Like
I was theorizing that maybe he was some sort of wizard that was there or something. Because we didn't know really what they talked about like wizards and stuff, but they didn't talk about like what exactly their limitations are and stuff. But I think the writer, the more we learned about his connection with Saphira, the sadder it was that he didn't have his dragon. It's kind of like he's lost a piece of himself in a way. They're so bonded.
It reminded me a little bit of like the Golden Compass, where you have your demon, and you're like connected to them, and you can like talk to them, and they're like attached to your soul essentially.
Yeah, I was thinking of like Parvati.
Oh, of course. We have a question here in the chat from Disney Witch 22. They ask, "What was your favorite scene in the book?" I have one, I think. I really liked the scene where they save the elf lady. What's her name? Arya. When they save her, I just thought that was like a super epic scene. It was super action-packed and great. And like they were like battling against Shade. What's his name too?
Naz.
His name's like D.
Dormad?
No, it's Durza.
Durza.
Anyway, that one shade guy, I really liked that scene. It was great. Can't remember his name.
I like the scene with him at the very end when
Durza,
when he defeats Durza, and Arya comes down with the dragon, Saphira, and it's just like all epic and exciting. And he's in Durza's head, and he's like kind of seeing how he became the Shade. And I thought that was really interesting because like he kind of gave his body over to evil spirits in exchange for power, which is really interesting.
I really liked I liked a lot of our initial like early training with Brahm when we were traveling, and like they would camp and like Brahm would just like throw him a sword and be like, get up for training kind of stuff. I like those like little montage in the travel. And I also liked the travel with Murtagh. That's the name, right? Yeah, Murtagh.
Yeah, Murtagh.
Yeah, especially when we started getting to like the mountain in the cavern place, which I don't remember the name to that right now. But like when we had like all the conflict where I liked that conflict where they ran into the slavers and Murtagh like killed one of them, and Eragon was really upset by that because I thought that was such an interesting conflict because on one hand, like I feel like Murtagh was in the right, like that guy is a slaver, he's evil, he was gonna kill them, like take it, like get rid of him while you have the chance. But also from Eragon's perspective, like you just killed someone who like couldn't really defend themselves and he was just like lying there. Like I liked that conflict. I just felt it was like really well done and like painted it in like not black and white.
Yeah, that's another scene where I thought Eragon kind of felt very young the way he argued that argument. Just because he was like, there's a way to say it in a better, I feel like what he was saying, he was like, you should have killed him. Why would you kill him? Like you could have just left him there. Don't kill him. And it was just like, well, say why, like just take a second to breathe and try to understand why he killed him, because he was gonna kill him a second ago. Like, but yeah, I like that scene too. I was just like, Eragon, shh. And he was like expecting an apology or something from him, and it was like,
he was expecting to be repentant and like feel bad about it. It honestly made me like him a little bit better because he was like, no, I don't feel bad for killing the slaver. Like he was gonna kill us. Like he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
You guys should let us know in the chat what your favorite scene was. Or in the comments down below.
Yeah.
We have another question here. Who was your favorite character and why? From Bryn Bellows in the chat. Also, we're still taking questions over on Twitter, so use the hashtag Dragonsplosion to ask us questions.
Yes. My favorite character was either Brahm or Angela. I'm looking forward to more Angela, and I enjoyed Brahm while we had him.
R.I.P.
I feel like both Brahm and Murtagh were both characters that came in and we were like so suspicious of them at first.
Yeah.
I was definitely suspicious of Brahm for a little bit, but Saphira trusted him. So I was like, okay. Yeah. I guess I have to trust him.
I feel like Murtagh was my favorite character, but I also loved Brahm as well, so in between those two. But I feel like Murtagh just has like such an interesting backstory.
Yeah, that's what I want to name him as my favorite character as well, because he does have a really interesting backstory and also his motivations. Like when Eragon sees him and he's like being imprisoned, but he's actually just fine and he's chilling. He's like, I get food and books. And, like, I'm cool, man. Yes. I think he's a really interesting character, and I'm excited to see how his story goes because he does have that backstory.
Yeah.
So like as a character, I would say him, but I really loved the relationship between Saphira and Eragon. Like that's like my favorite relationship in the book was that dynamic between the two of them. And like I want a dragon so badly. I really want one.
I really liked the story about his dad, Murtagh's dad, being like the Judas of all the riders. It was just really cool because we knew that story before. I think it was set up nicely, and he was like, oh yeah, that was my dad, you have his sword, That's like Brom murdered my dad. Like all connected really nice.
Yeah, definitely. We have another good question here from Hannah in the chat. They ask, do you think you would have enjoyed the book more if you were younger, or would it have seemed too slow?
It depends on when you read it.
I feel like middle school, I probably would have really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have gone over my head when I was in elementary school, to be honest.
Yeah.
I definitely think I would have enjoyed this more in middle school. And I don't think it would have been too slow because, if I was reading it at that point, like I was a slower reader back then in general. And overall, I can see that the story does like drag a little bit in the middle sometimes. Like it's still an entertaining, enjoyable read. And like every chapter, like there's always some kind of action or something going on, even if it isn't all like leading directly into like a tight knit plot kind of thing. I don't think the slowness would bother me at all. Because it has a feel like Harry Potter where it's just like a fun world to live in. Like I feel like this is a good book to reread. Like if you understand that the pace is kind of slow and it is a longer book and you're ready for like descriptions and like all the proper nouns and stuff, like I don't think it would have affected me at all. I think I would have loved this as like a 12, 13-year-old.
I don't think I would have loved it. I think I would have liked it because it was like Lord of the Rings, and at that time I had this whole grudge against Lord of the Rings because I didn't like the movie.
There's a question on Twitter that is kind of ties into that. It's what are your thoughts on the Lord of the Rings similarities? And I liked, and this was way more accessible to me. Like, I feel like I enjoyed this more personally than Lord of the Rings personally. But I can see how for people who loved Lord of the Rings that they might have like more criticisms about this being similar.
But I feel like the heart of this story is about the Dragon Riders, and that's something that's not in Lord of the Rings. And that's like my favorite part of this book. I don't think without the dragons, I wouldn't have been in it like I was with Eragon and Saphira. So it's the world around them is very Lord of the Rings, but the heart of the story is about dragon riders and the politics of this world, which is just, and like that's every single fantasy, like the politics of the world and the terrible king and all that stuff.
I haven't watched the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I fell asleep during the first movie, so I haven't even seen the first movie all the way through.
I fell asleep during the second one.
Yeah, but I know that this book gets like a lot of criticism for being too much like Lord of the Rings, but you have to like factor in how young he was when he was writing this, so he didn't really know better. Because like this book gets like a lot of crap for being like a rip-off of Lord of the Rings, but like he was 15 when he wrote it. Like cut him some slack. I'm sure he's like grown as a writer since then.
He's also a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and he wanted to make his own version of it,
Yeah.
And there's so many books like that. It's just because it was successful. People are, like to tear it apart. That's the easiest way to tear it apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a good question. In the chat. Oh, I just lost it. Where'd it go?
Let me see. Do you guys have any predictions for the next couple books? That's a question from Meg Bookquist.
Well, I want a parent storyline of some sort.
Oh yeah, we definitely
better get that.
There's some mysterious parentage going on that we got to get to the bottom to.
Yeah.
And we've got that mysterious guy who is in his head who's like,
the Saint of Morning, who's like, come to me
in the Elfland. I'm excited about that. Elfland. Elfland is like my favorite part of the Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Elfland. I'm excited for more of Arya because we didn't spend a lot of time with her in this book, but I really like her, and I'm really excited to like learn more about her. I feel like Eragon's dad is gonna be a bad guy. I feel like he's either the bad guy or was like one of the writers or something.
Yeah.
Do you think he? Nah. No. Do you think he and Murtagh are brothers? But yeah, what is his cousin going to come back into it? Do you think his cousin has anything to do with anything? Like,
no, because we did spend quite a bit of time with him in the beginning. Like, he was like built up as like being a more prominent character.
Yeah.
And didn't he like use that magic to like be able to see him too?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
What's it called? Skyring
or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he will come back into play with something.
I think he will. I think maybe the uncle knew more about his Eragon's past than
the uncle must know more about, because it was his sister, right? Who like came and like just like gave birth and then pieced out again.
Yeah. She must have more of a clue.
Yeah, I didn't really like the uncle, so I wasn't sad when he died. I didn't think he treated Eragon very nicely.
Yeah.
And like he didn't even teach Eragon to read. Rude.
Yeah, I was like, how can you not teach your kid to read?
Yeah.
Oh, that was sad. I'm glad he learned how to read. It was really cool when he went to the library. The library scene was so cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh.
I like this question from Magical Book Geek Grace. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. They ask, before reading the book, did you think that Eragon was the dragon based on the cover? I did. I thought this was Eragon.
Oh, I thought this was Eragon too, for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I knew that Eragon was the main boy character, so like I didn't think that the dragon was Eragon, but I thought it was suspicious that Eragon's name is just dragon with an E instead of a D.
I for sure was thinking this is Eragon, and it like the main character was a talking dragon. That's what I thought.
I did too. Yeah.
For years. For so long.
I mean, I thought that up until I read this, so.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I thought that from the moment I heard about this book. Like, oh my gosh. I was just going to say something else. Oh, yeah, we're going to learn his true name. He has to discover, like, his true self.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's going to be a reveal of some kind, what his actual name is. Like, it's going to mean something to us because of something else we've learned, or, you know.
Ooh.
You know how it is. Yeah. What did you think of that cool place, Troubadour? You know what I'm talking about? That's what the volcanic place is called, Trop.
Oh, the dwarven city? The dwarf.
Well, it's dwarves, but it's also like humans.
It's humans and elves too. In this, it's a political hub kind of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I thought like the description of it sounded really, really cool.
Yeah.
I can't find what it's called. Troubadour. Guys in the chat, do you remember what it's called?
I'm sure they do.
I'm just calling it Troubadour.
Why don't I see it on the map?
Because it's hidden in that volcano. Oh, Farthendur, they're saying. Is it Farthendur? I thought it.
Guys, what will we do without you? You have our backs for all these pronunciations.
Troubadour and Farthendur sound the same. I'm excited to go to Elfland.
Yeah, Elfland.
We can take some more questions and then we'll talk about our next month's.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This question is from the Melody Star. They ask, which character would you want the most development in later books / reworked in the books?
Well, Meg said that Eragon's cousin gets his own perspective. So he's yeah.
Interesting.
You know what? Oh, you know what? I had a theory that Eragon's cousin was evil at one point in the book.
Really?
Like, something that they said made me believe that he might have gone somewhere that it's going to put him on the wrong side of the war. Ooh. And since he's his, like, the closest thing he has to a brother, that'd be really interesting.
I could see that happening.
But anyway.
What if they're not actually related?
Well, Maybe they're not.
Well, if the sister is really the sister, I feel like they must actually be related. But like,
I guess.
I feel like they're probably actually related. But, they're cousins because
Yeah.
it's like they're in.
Like everyone in the chat is holding back everything because they're.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we've only read the first book, and that our theories are probably frustrating some of you who know how the series actually goes. I want to see, as far as more character development and stuff, I want to see more of Arya. I want her to be like a really cool, badass character, and I hope she's done well in the next book.
Guys, people are Walla Store on Twitter wants us to sort them. Let's sort them.
Sort them. Okay.
Eragon's definitely a Gryffindor.
Yeah, I would say that.
He's such a clear, and Saphira's a Ravenclaw, I think.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like so wise all the time.
Yeah. Okay. And Brom would probably be.
Brom could be a Gryffindor. I can't.
I see him being a Hufflepuff as well because he is very loyal and hardworking.
Yeah, and he like had he was so dedicated to his cause.
Yeah.
But I feel like we haven't seen him around enough people that weren't like younger than him, like that weren't his like ward or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
I think Murtagh is a Slytherin.
Might be.
I feel like I need to know more about him.
He might be tough.
He seemed, because he seemed like savvy about things. Like he was looking out for himself, and like when he killed the slaver, that was like a cunning kind of move. He was like, "Yeah, we need to get rid of him. Like I'm willing to do what it takes to like it's the best way to do it," kind of thing.
I can see that. I mean, but he's not.
I don't think he's evil. I just think he's
No, I'm just not getting that he's particularly wanting to, like, ambitious in the way where he
ambition. He doesn't have a ton of ambition.
Yeah, I feel like he's working hard to stay on the down low.
Well, yeah, but that's his ambition. If he wants to stay on the down low, then, like, he's driven to do that. Like, ambition doesn't necessarily mean, like, you're reaching for the stars. It's just, like, you do what you want, kind of thing. And, like, that's what he wants, and he's fulfilling it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a part of ambition is like striving towards power, in a way. But yeah, it's up in the air because we don't. He guards himself so much. Like he right now he does seem like a Slytherin, but like I can't. I want to know more about his drives because he stood up to his father. He could be even a Gryffindor.
Yeah, he might be a hybrid. He might be like a Slither door or something.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like one thing exactly, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's definitely not Ravenclaw. He's definitely one of the other three.
I don't think he's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah. He's either Gryffindor or Slytherin.
Yeah.
Somebody left a funny situation that they had with Christopher Paolini in the chat. I want to read it. This is from Nadia. And they said, I met Christopher Paolini once at a book signing. It was really embarrassing. He asked me how old I was, and I didn't hear him, so I said yes. Oh my gosh. That's so good.
How old is he now? Is he like our age?
Yeah, he was born in 83. Oh, so he's like mid-30s now. Yeah.
He's 35.
Okay. Wow.
Says Google.
He's a little older. That's so crazy. I guess he was 14 in 2000. No.
Well, he was 14 when he started writing it. He was 19 when the book was published in 2000.
Okay, so he had time to edit it. Like,
he definitely worked on it for a long time. Like, he worked on it for 5 years, which makes sense because that's what happens when you start writing a book at 14. Like, you're like learning a lot and stuff. But he was 19 by the time it was published, so he was still young, but like he was an adult when it was published.
Yeah. Okay. He wasn't published.
Like now he's just like a normal adult, and people still kind of know him as like the child, the kid author, and it's like no,
I'm in my 30s.
I wonder like how old he was when he got an agent and stuff.
He must have been a teenager.
No, because the book was originally self-published through his family's like indie publishing. Yeah, Yeah, do you guys not know any of this history?
I don't know any of this history.
No, because this is 2003 copyright with Random House, so that's why I was assuming.
Yeah, in 2002, it was originally published by like Paolini International, Paolini Limited, or something that was his like parents' like small indie publishing company. And then he started doing like speaking tours. His parents started like taking him around to get him into whatever high school would like let him come and talk to the kids, and he would talk about how he's 19 and he wrote this book. And yeah, he did like so many tours. He was like always on the road, and the book ended up getting really popular because he was talking directly to kids, and the kids would read it and they would love it. And it got picked up by Random House, and it became a whole big series and a whole big movie and franchise.
Crazy. I always kind of wondered like how this book got so popular, you know?
Yeah,
like what's the story behind it? That's so interesting.
And also, it was a completely different world back then. In 2002, 2003, the internet wasn't really a thing. Like, the only way to get book recommendations is like from your friends or like in your high school library. So when an author comes to your school and like talks to you, you want to read their book, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was brilliant how they published this and handled it. Like, it's very, very interesting publishing case, and I really admire what they did with this because it was amazing.
Very cool, very cool.
Do we want to talk about our February book of the month?
Yes. If you've yet to hear, our February book of the month is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen McManus. It is a suspenseful, mysterious, thrillery novel, which I love and I'm very excited about. Do you guys know what it's about? You want me to tell what it's about?
I filmed a video the other day about what it's about. I think I can rehash that. So we're following a teenage girl named Ellery who moves to this small town to like live with her grandmother. And in this small town, Ellery's aunt had gone missing when she was age 17. So like years and years ago, her aunt had gone missing. And 5 years before the start of this novel, a homecoming queen was murdered. And that kind of put like this small town on the map. And now Ellery is, staying with her grandmother, and she's going to start at this new school. And before school even starts, another girl goes missing. So obviously there's something suspicious and shady happening, and there's a lot of secrets involved, since Ellery's aunt was one of the women, one of the girls who like went missing. There's like secrets in her family and something shady going on. And yeah, it sounds very interesting and twisty and suspenseful, and I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm going to start it like ASAP because I just finished.
It's a short one. We should be able to fly through it.
Yeah. Her other book, I flew right through it. It was really, really
a lot of people in the chat are asking if this is a sequel to One of Us is Lying. It's not.
It is a complete standalone. You don't need to read anything else. You can just read this.
Yeah, the cover is very similar. But
it looks similar, but that's just like the author's branding and like her kind of look. So yeah, you stand alone. You can read it alone.
Also, our live show will be on March 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard on this channel. So subscribe if you haven't.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first live show on this new channel, the first live show of 2019.
Yes.
We're so excited for another year of reading books with you guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Go watch our channel trailer if you haven't yet.
Oh, yeah, we put a channel trailer.
And we'll be announcing the rest of our lineup towards the end of February because we have most of it planned now, but we want to have everything ready.
Yeah. So this is February, and we'll have more announcements coming soon.
Yeah. For sure. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.